Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.
Hey Fletch, how's it going?
Danny, I've stuffed up.
Why is that, mate?
The destination, it's not lining up. I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Fletch, you're in Ivanhoe, Victoria.
Ivanhoe, Victoria, suburb north of Melbourne.
Yes, mate. Population around 12,000 people.
12,000 people, Danny. There's barely 300 here where I am. I'm literally like a 3-hour drive southeast of Broken Hill in the outback, New South Wales. Oh well, I've come too far to go back now. Let's see what I can find to film here in this week's Classic Restos on the road. Well, sometimes travelling 10 hours out of your way can be well worth it. And like most of these smaller regional country towns, they struggle along, but it's the people that make these places, and they work with what they have. And I love that. Ivanhoe was founded back in the 1870s, and originally the township was in the floodplain, fed by the Lachlan and the Darling rivers. The small township's buildings were picked up and put on the back of trucks and moved to higher ground, which is where Ivanhoe exists today. So much history. Okay, well here we go. My surroundings. And I have to find content to bring you an episode. Well, there's nothing like a challenge. Well, I knocked on the door of Carmichael's here in Ivanhoe, and look what I found. Tough areas require tough vehicles, and things don't get much tougher than a 1960 B61 Mack. And this one has been painstakingly restored. Well, things don't get much better than this. The man himself, John Carmichael. How are you, John?
Good, Fletch. Yeah.
That's the way. Thanks for letting us in here.
I much appreciate you coming.
That's all right. Now, this beautiful 1960 Mack behind us, what can you tell us in terms of the build time and a little bit about the truck?
Well, the truck was originally Robertson owned it up on the east coast. He ran interstate with it to Darwin and down to Melbourne, and they sold the truck and it went to Bullier, and then we bidded for it on eBay and lost out on it, and a bloke in Cobar bought it, and then we bought it off him and brought it down here and got to work on it and rebuild him up.
So you were meant to have the truck.
We bidded for it, but we lost out.
You lost and it came back to you.
Yeah, and then Jack rang me up and said, do you want to buy it? And so we bought it off him.
And what was the condition of the truck? Was it in a bit of a bad way? Had it had a hard life?
Yeah, it was buggered.
Yeah.
No, we spent a lot of money on it to get it back to where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's it was something I always wanted to do.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And just from an interest perspective, when you say it's buggered, where mainly do they suffer? We know that they get a hard time mechanically, but was the whole truck gone, the cab, everything?
The chassis was good.
Was it? Yep.
Chassis was good. The cabin was buggered.
Right.
Rusted doors, better in the cabin.
Yep.
Mudguards and bonnet were reasonable,
Yep.
but they butchered the bonnet.
Yep.
So we had to do that. And
how was it mechanically?
mechanically, The diffs were done in Brisbane, and
Yep.
believe it or not, in '82
Yep.
when we done a bit of research back into it.
In 82.
'82, the diffs were done in it,
God.
and the gearbox was done on the side of the road.
Jeez.
And he bought an F model and put this 237 motor that's in it now.
I mean, these things they were pinnacle trucks. These things were,
Yeah.
they were unreal, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
They were just as tough as nails.
Yeah.
And back in 1960, if you had one of these brand new,
Yeah.
it was one of the biggest trucks on the road, right?
It was, yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. Yeah, well, Ivan bought it second hand, so his son told it. And he wanted to come and have a look at it, but his sister come to Ivanhoe and looked at it.
Yeah. You've got some other Macks here as well. So obviously the Mack heritage runs deep with you guys here.
Yeah, it didn't first off. I had internationals and then a white, and then went into Macks and and been there ever since.
Yeah, and obviously you've got an appreciation for all of them right across the board,
Yeah,
I suppose.
No, the Mack brand's been a good truck to our company, you know.
Yeah, of course. And you know it's the feasibility as well. It's you can't run every brand, can you? So,
No, you cannot. No. And we've got a good relationship where we buy our trucks.
Yep.
CMV, and they look after us.
Yeah,
And,
that's awesome, John. How many guys have you got here working for you?
There's only three of us.
Yeah.
Karen's in the administration. My brother's out there now. He's casual. He helps me out when I really get stuck.
Yeah.
And I've got a bloke down the road that helps me out. Yeah, we got a bit of backup as far as casual labour.
Sounds like a well-oiled wheel.
Well, it is in a way. Yeah.
With the build time of this truck, how long did it take you go to woe?
I'd say 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years from the day we first got to have a crack at it.
Yeah.
And then we stripped it completely. And we done all the brakes and rewired it. I had a fella here who left me. He was very good with wiring.
Yep.
So he rewired it.
Yep.
And then we done all the brakes, the steering, done all the oil leaks, and
And
then I took it to Balranald and had it painted.
Yep.
And then it went to Swan Hill and had the stripes put on it.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
I love when these are restored this way with their period correctness on how they would have looked possibly back in the day. Horsepower wise up front, we're looking at about 250 horsepower, John?
237.
237? Yeah.
But they're all there.
Yep.
Typical Mack horsepower.
And the torque.
Yeah, that's right. You got a gear
Yep.
for nearly every rev, you know. That's why they were such a good truck. Rough, hot, but powerful.
Yep.
Do the job, you know,
Yep.
and reliable.
So they might not have been the quickest truck, but they were certainly one of the strongest.
Yeah, they were. One of the strongest, you know.
Fantastic stuff. Well, stay right where you are. We'll be back after the break with something else that John might have to show us here in his shed.
When I was a kid, I loved cars, still do. The 57 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham was the most advanced car in the world. Cost more than a Rolls. Hand-built with a stainless steel roof, cruise control, electric seats, and would you believe, air suspension. American iron. It's a passion Shannons understand. That's why they insure my daily drive, the caddy, my bike, even the house.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network. And in between the interviews with John, truck pulls up out the front. How you doing, Al?
Yeah, good, Fletch, thanks.
So, way, mate.
Yep.
All these car batteries on the back. What's going on?
Yeah, they're for our dry times truck show, Fletch, on the 1st and
2nd of October, the long weekend, yeah. Yep.
So you're picking up all the car batteries, going to the scrap,
Yeah.
and all that money getting raised for the truck show.
Yeah, and we had to do a big run in the north of Ivanhoe and in the west of Ivanhoe to get them all, Fletch, yeah. 38 tonne of batteries, a fair few laying around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nothing like staying positive, Al?
No.
Yeah. What sort of running do you do? What areas do you cover?
Oh, well, I just covered the north of Ivanhoe, 125 kilometres up over the Barrier Highway, and to the west mainly, 100 k's out to the west.
Yeah.
And little Jono was sort of in it with me, helping me collect them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. You wonder why I love these opportunities catching up with our truck drivers. It's the stuff behind the scenes that we take for granted most of the time, especially out in these regional areas. Alan getting around in his truck, collecting the batteries for the scrapper with money going to the truck show. That's the salt of the earth stuff. So, Al, just want to wish you all the best for the truck show, mate.
Thanks,
and,
Fletch.
Keep up your great work.
Good on you, Fletch, thank you.
You're welcome, mate. Are you enjoying yourself, John?
Yeah, Fletch, yeah, it's going good.
I appreciate your time out today. I know
That's
you're
all right.
you're a busy guy with lots on out here, and well, behind us we've got a big banger, 1996 Mack V8. They're a big truck today, aren't they?
Well, they still are a big truck. They were big in their day, and they still are classed as a big truck.
What a good looking thing. 525 horsepower and all the goods. It's a nice looking unit. Do you use it very often now, John? Or?
Oh, it's not an everyday truck, but it's there for backup. We've
Yep.
got the new trucks, and we've got the value liner and the
Yep.
other super liner, and
Yep.
but it's used as a backup truck. It's got hydraulics on it. We can pull the side tippers and
Yep.
stock crates and flat tops and drop deck and that, you know.
Tell us a bit of history on this.
Bought it in '86 new in Adelaide, and one of the first Mark IIs to ever be sold in South Australia. Yeah, bought it for cart and live export from Ivanhoe, Broken Hill and Wilcannia and Cobar area to down to Adelaide, and it was geared to 82 k's an hour.
Yeah.
So it was bought especially for a job, but of course that job eventually went by the wayside, and then we quickened it up. And
So geared for 82 k's an hour. So rear gears, you're looking high fours, fives.
573s.
573.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we've dropped it back to 502s now.
Yep.
And that's quickened it up.
Well, no under 80 k's saw the old girl out with that rear gearing, but geez, it'd pull anything though, John.
Oh yeah, Fletch, bloody, once you pulled her into top gear, you never changed down, you know. Just slug along and do it easy.
How'd you go with the laws of 80 k's an hour and that gearing, like with the science of getting the gearing right? Did it fall right bang on 80 k's for South Australia? Or?
No, 82. Mack couldn't set it up for 80.
Right.
But they give us leeway of 2 k's. So,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
How many k's has the truck done?
About 4 million.
4 million.
Yeah.
And how many engines has it taken to do the 4 million?
Yeah, this is the third engine.
Yeah.
But this engine's not very old.
Yep.
Bloke down at Ivanhoe done it for me.
Yeah.
Used to be a 400, then it was a 440.
Yep.
And wore 2 V8s out.
Yep.
And then we put this 525 in it.
Yeah. Geez, it just the amount of work they do and the places they go, and it's astronomical, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they're good for about $1 million.
Yep.
Before you have to rebuild them.
Yeah. Okay.
But then after a while, you get block fatigue and that.
Yep.
And once they get to a certain thing, they're not worthwhile rebuilding.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to just go the whole thing and replace the engine.
Yeah. And although just using the clutch to take off, you can. What do you get out of a clutch on average?
I reckon this truck's had 1 clutch in it.
1 clutch.
1 clutch.
Yeah. And that's a testament to.
But I did have 2 fellas helping me drive it.
Yeah, that's a testament to their driving though too.
I've driven the most of the k's I've done myself.
Million k's out of a clutch.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It's interesting to think back in the early days, truck drivers couldn't wait to update their trucks if they could afford to go to the next model. But isn't it interesting now in 2022, you've got trucks here that they're 30 years old.
Yeah.
And they're still part of an active fleet.
Yeah.
And still serving.
Yeah, and blokes want to drive them too, you know, like a lot of young blokes want to drive the modern stuff, and I can understand that, but there's a lot of older and younger fellas that do want to drive the older trucks, you know.
But these are the GT Falcons of the trucks. I can understand why the guys want to drive them.
Yeah.
In this case, we've got one big pipe there, but even, you know, the old B61 in there with two pipes. You know, what a beautiful arrangement that is. You've got your twin air cleaners, twin pipes.
Yeah. Can't get it any better, can you?
That's cool. That really is.
Yeah.
We're looking at a truck here that is a worker, and it still is. We're not talking a show truck, although you could drive it into a show. You'd have no problems with driving that into a show.
No, I took it to Alice Springs show, Fletch.
There you go.
Yeah.
You said off camera that needs a paint job, but hey, look, you know, I think we've got to cut it some slack. It's the sort of thing you look at. There's no BS about the truck. It's what you see is what you get.
Yeah, she's the raw deal. Yeah.
My word.
Yeah, no, you won't get anything much better than this as far as the work goes.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Now, John, I want to thank you for the opportunity to interview you here today with two of your trucks. And this is what it's all about. You know, try and plan yourself a road trip. Get in your car or your truck, your SUV, or on your bike, or however you get around, and try and get out to these places such as Ivanhoe. They appreciate your business. They're a friendly lot. It's great to support the local businesses as well. You stop for lunch, buy your fuel. The B&B out here, Mrs. Kendall's accommodation here in Ivanhoe, can't go wrong with. So you keep up your good work, John, and thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Fletch.
You're welcome. Thanks, mate.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be.
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride.
And of course, if you own a classic, it just has to be insured with Shannons. Perhaps some laid-up insurance cover is what you're after. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat on 134646, and the Shannons Club awaits you. For more information, visit shannons.com.au. Welcome back. Trucking history. It's fascinating, it's important and very interesting out of any country town. The story of one family. It's time now to meet third generation Peter Robertson, sharing some of his family history around transport here in Ivanhoe.
Trucking goes back a long way in our family in Ivanhoe. 1926 it started with my grandfather. I'm the third generation. That's grandmother and uncle in Sydney. And there's a picture of my brother there in the photo there with he's about 5 years old beside a truck, load of wool on it. And the other one down the bottom, and the permission in 1931 to pull the body truck with 3 little trailers carting fat lambs to the Newmarket markets. We used to cart wool down to Balranald from Manford Station, and that's one of the trucks on the way down to railway line in Balranald. These are 1926 to 1930. That's Tupra wool at the Balranald railway siding there in about 1929, I think it might have been. Picture of my uncle there, done up like a cowboy. Their job was to cart the wool from Tupra Station and Manford Station to the railhead at Balranald. They'd probably leave Ivanhoe and go out and load, and they probably wouldn't be back for, they'd load produce or grain back to Tupra. They might be away for 7 or 8 days. But they always had a good tucker box with them, and it wasn't a very fast trip them days. And if they broke down, they always repaired themselves. If they broke a spring, they just cut a bit of branch off a tree and wire it up until they got home. Well, with Robertsons, they had a pretty good reputation. They were always on time, and my old grandfather and my father done that, and me and my brothers, and I think my nephews try and do the same thing too. They've got a pretty good reputation for when you're going to be there, you'll be there. The times have changed. Dad updated a few trucks in the 50s and 30s, and that his pride and joy is 7 Series Dodge. A bit of history about that truck. They've done 750,000 miles, and they pulled the brakes off to fix it, and they're nearly as good as the day they were made, because Dad never used the brakes much, even going to Melbourne. He always slowed down before he got to where you got to stop. That was a 71 model Dodge, I think, a 318 V8 with a 2-speed, 5-speed gearbox, and it was a new trailer, but it used to cart, well, the more weight went on it than was supposed to go on it, but that was the way they done things. Well, when the roads were all dirt around this area, one instance my nephew took a road train of cattle down south towards going to Melbourne with the cattle, and he had a load of wool behind it. The storm went about 60 miles south of here. The storm went across the road for about 100 feet. He never knew, he hit it too fast, and the load of wool tipped over, and I had the job of reloading it the next day. That's me hanging on the side of a trailer trying to be a hero, but we used to have about 4,000 drums of fuel in our premises there at the one time. It was all drum fuel at them times in the 70s, because Dad was a shuttle agent for 68 years, and we put about 175 drums in them empty drums, and go down, you bring back about 110 drums on a single drive truck with a bogie trailer. Skipping along from the 50s when Dad had Dodges and cab-over Dodges, I purchased a cab-over Kenworth with a 350 in it. One of the reasons was to cart to Darwin after the cyclone, and that's the trip between, I think it might be between Charleville and Cunnamulla on the way to Darwin. Well, the conditions of the road then, it was illegal to pull road trains at that time, but you'd leave here for Thursday night, all dirt to Cobar, duck and dive around Cobar, dirt to Burke, a bit of bitumen, then dirt halfway from Cunnamulla to Burke, and then once you got past Wyandra it was bitumen, but it was only thin bitumen all the way to Darwin. Yeah, road conditions. This is me coming home from Melbourne between Bulligal and Mosgiel, and 60 miles south of here. I had to spend about 4.5 days, and in 4.5 days I moved about 100 yards in the table drain, but the reason I stayed there is because I had beer on and gas, and if I left the truck on the side of the road, I wouldn't have any beer left in the trailer when I went over to pick it up. So I had a good tucker box, and Bernadette Loveridge from Bulligal Pub, if anybody was coming out, she'd send out some pies, and that's our workshop getting built, because we had a contract, we thought we had a contract to cart beer to Darwin, but they knocked it off after we had 6 new trucks ordered and 6 new taunt liners and 3 new dollies, and the day we were going down to pick them, sign the papers, a bloke pulled up in a Falcon car and said, drop the price, you haven't got the job. So Ronnie Bunker from Adelaide bought the 6 dry vans and the 3 dollies, so we got rid of them. The trucks worked real hard because, well, you were carting heavy loads, but Kenworths, my brother and them designed them, and they spec'd them up pretty good. They were 2-speed diffs, 55 mile an hour on low range or 72 mile an hour on high range if you only had one trailer on and wanted to be stupid. The only thing we had trouble with was they used to break the bloody torque rod bolts, used to snap. I got caught a couple of times with cattle going to Dubbo, and bang, you snap a torque rod bolt, well the diff starts turning, well then you're in trouble. So, but Kenworth sort of flew a couple of parts up to us near Mount Isa once at their expense, because they guaranteed the trucks wouldn't break down again, and they did. Yeah, I hope you enjoy that. Like, we've nephews in trucks now. It's a bit of history of my family from 1926 to now. It's nearly 100 years, 96 years or something, in 4th generation. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
Well, I hope you've really enjoyed this week's episode of Classic Restos. These country towns, they're about the people, their stories, their history. Why not consider a road trip to Ivanhoe and meet the locals? You'll be made feel more than welcome. Now, part 2 of Ivanhoe will be on next week's show. Speaking of which, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching.
You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.